Support for Kalamazoo Lively Arts is provided by the Irving S. Gilmore Foundation, helping to build and enrich the cultural life of Greater Kalamazoo.
Heidi Fahrenbacher, a signature artist herself, takes us to her home studio to see how she slipcasts ceramics and uses colors to enhance her art.
When I was in college, I wanted to be a biology major, and my dad sat me down because I wanted to be a gerontologist because I love old people. And my dad sat me down because he's retired now, but he was a hospital administrator. And he said, I don't think you're really gonna like it. I think you should be an artist. So I went to the registrar's office and changed all my classes. It's funny because I asked my dad about it not too long ago because everyone's like, that's such a great story. And he's like, yeah, Heidi, you know, when I was telling you that, I thought you'd be like a painter. I didn't think you'd be a potter. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, there's like a stipulation to what you become, what kind of artist you become. So, but no, it was nice. They've always been supportive. He just wanted me to be happy, So today I'm going to show you how once the piece comes out of the mold, I actually finish it up. A lot of times when you slip cast, you'll get a seam on a piece where the two pieces of plaster come together like you see right here. So what I do is I take a middle rib like this and I scrape off that excess seam. And it goes all the way down. And the reason that is because the top of the canister, the lid, is a two-part mold, they're called. And so when the two pieces come together, it makes that seam. So the themes that I'm kind of dealing with, I mean, if you look at them, you probably don't see this, but this is how I think of it. So I kind of think of them as like order and chaos. And that has evolved from, I have a chronic pain condition that I'm continually dealing with. I fell on ice back in January of 2011, and I've just like been dealing with this chronic pain from that, which you wouldn't even think is a big deal, but, and it really starts to wreak havoc on your mental state. And so I always feel like I'm trying to stay ordered, but then like you have a flare up and then there's all this chaos and you have to deal with it. And so that's where a lot of my, the lines interacting and the colors, sometimes they're nice and aligned and other times they're more random. So that's what I'm trying to portray, even on a mug. This handy dandy contraption on my potter's wheel is called a Giffen grip. And so you just, it's gonna make a horrible noise, you might wanna, oh, it didn't do it, okay. So, and then it's nice and snug. And what I do is I put the lid on upside down. And this way, I can smooth out the rim on the lid. I used to do this all by hand. I mean, this is by hand, but not on the wheel. And then one day I was sitting there, I was like, why don't you just put it on the wheel and spin it? It would go a lot faster, and it's a lot faster. So, and that's nice, because then I get to still work on the wheel, which I love. So I use a couple of different techniques. I do one technique which is called Mishima, and what that is you paint wax on the surface of the piece and you take an X-Acto blade or anything sharp and carve into it, and then you paint over slip or underglaze of a different color, and so it incisors those lines, and then you wipe off that underglaze, and so the wax kind of resists and it only goes into the lines. So that's one technique. So that's where like the really fine lines, that's how those are created. And then I also just paint on glaze. So if there's like a bunch of different color glazes, like the rainbow, that's actually me dipping, you know, like just painting the different colors on. And then I also do a different technique where I take my drawings and then I make my own decals, so they're fired on. So you just take that sharpness off so that, because once that's fired, if you leave it that way, it'll either cut you or it'll be easy to chip. So then I just set that here for a second. And then this edge, I don't know if you can see, it's kind of jagged as well. So I want to clean that up. And I'm going to do the same process. I just apply a little bit of pressure. So I'm just squeezing in both directions. And now I'm just smoothing it out. And then I always test it to make sure it hasn't distorted the shape. Boop. And then I just kind of shape it on. And the finishing touch to kind of smooth that seam line out even more is just to take the sponge and run it along the top of the canister. And I'm not pushing down very hard because I don't want to seal the lid to the base. See, so it still pops off, which is good. And there you go. And then it's ready to go in the kiln. Consistently, the biggest comment I hear about my work is that people like the use of color that I use. And I like color, and it's funny because you know, sometimes I use a bunch of different colors on one piece, and the way they interact with each other makes it so vibrant. But then sometimes it's just one color on a piece is what all you need. So, you know, and like again, the order and chaos, it has to do with like the time of the year and the seasons. And I've found that in the winter, like I do brighter colors, and in the summer, like I start to tone them down. It's like I need a little pick-me-up in the winter, so I start doing all kinds of rainbows. So. One other interesting thing about Bella Joy Pottery is that my dad actually makes all my glaze for me, the one that told me to be an artist. He's retired now, and he's very precise, and making glaze is a lot like baking, so it's, you know, very specific, and I'm not always that way. I miss a lot of ingredients. So he makes my glaze for me, and then my brother also helps in the business. He does most of the wrapping and shipping. So if you order anything online, he has probably wrapped it for you. So if it breaks, you can blame him.